So it's been a big week with Palantir with some huge announcements happening, and in response, Wall Street has started turning around and buying up the stock once again. But the big question becomes, is this a case of FOMO? Or is it actually justified and we got another massive run coming for Palantir stock? All right, well, you guys come here for the truth without the hype, and that's exactly what you're going to get today in regards to Palantir. But as you guys know, my opinion a lot of times differs from Wall Street. So let's get the latest thoughts on Wall Street in regards to these deals. Is it a buy right now? What's the valuation look like and everything else? Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth out the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get today, guys. And if you're serious about your investing and you want to work directly with me in regards to that through courses, through coaching, through direct access to me, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there as the March Madness sale is live, but we'll talk more about that at the end. We have to get into Palantir stock specifically. So let's see what Wall Street has to say, and then we'll discuss that.
So joining us now to discuss more on their latest partnership. They have partnerships every day, I swear, Diane King Hall, host of Morning Movers. So yesterday I discussed, I think it was Archer Aviation, and then earlier this week there was another partnership. So they've been busy.
Yeah. They have been busy this week, and this is certainly helpful to how we're seeing the stock move today.
So right there, right off the bat, it's kind of, I hate to call it entertaining, but I don't know what else to call it. It shows you how little Wall Street pays attention to certain stocks at certain times. To me, seeing the partnership announcements once a week, once every other week, whatever the case is, we've been talking about that on this channel now for, basically 2.5, 3 years. That's the reality of what's been going on with Palantir. They just add a contract here, add a contract there. Sure, some of them are government. It seemed like there for a while, a lot of them were government. Now we're starting to see more commercial contracts come on board. But this is nothing new for those of us that have been following Palantir. But of course, Wall Street, typical Wall Street being late to the party. All of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, there's a deal here. There's a deal there. Like, oh, maybe we should pay more attention. So anyways, just another one of those funny things that, us as retail investors, if you're paying attention, we knew this for a long time now. This is nothing new, but to Wall Street, it kind of seems like, ooh, what's going on here? Maybe they got more, maybe more's going on Palantir than we thought. Just silliness at this stage. This is why we routinely beat Wall Street to great stocks like Palantir in the first place.
Off the news of another new partnership. As you know, they announced a half dozen just yesterday, but today's new partnership is with R1. It is a healthcare billing and payments processing major player there. And so they're partnering with Palantir to create what's called R37. And that's an AI-powered lab that the idea of that is going to improve how hospitals and doctors essentially get paid. Why does this matter? We know healthcare billing can be messy, it's complicated, expensive, can come with errors. Hospitals spend about 40% of their costs on administrative tasks like
that right there. 40% of their cost goes into administrative tasks like billing and all that sort of stuff. And anybody who has dealt with the US healthcare system knows it is atrocious. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing in the world, given how, the US seems to be advanced on a great number of things in regards to getting paid and billing and all these other things of this nature that, every other industry in the world can figure it out mega fast. Third world countries can figure it out better than we can when it comes down to medical billing. So if this is something Palantir can absolutely crush and figure out not only how to provide a better service to hospitals, and obviously, it trickles down to the doctors and everybody else, but also trickle down to us as customers, that would be massive. If nothing else, just to provide some sort of transparency or predictability or something else to that entire process there. So, this is definitely one that, look at a lot of complex problems that Palantir tries to or has fixed in the past and kind of going, well, this is another big challenge there for them that I think would absolutely we all want across the board to get better. And this is something that's rare in terms of us as customers being able to see it firsthand, as opposed to a lot of times, Palantir's defense contracts, for example. Well, outside of the folks within the Department of Defense that are actually using the information provided by Palantir and the Palantir product specifically, the whole rest of us don't really get to experience that out here in the regular world. But this is definitely something that would touch all of our lives, at least here in the US, that have to deal with the US healthcare system. That's a complete disaster, especially when it comes down to billing and everything else. So this is awesome and obviously massive. Just think about how much those hospitals spend. 40% of their spend going to something like this. If Palantir can significantly reduce it, I would love to say that would reduce the cost to us. Ha ha ha. But, just not the way it seems to work here. But if it can actually just create an accurate billing system for us and us to appropriately and timely receive our bills, and then obviously whenever we pay them to accurately show that we paid those bills instead of fighting with the insurance company on the phone for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, and all the other nightmares that go on in regards to our system, that is a massive win for all of us and a huge boon for Palantir.
Chasing payments, correcting mistakes, trying to put in insurance claims. So the idea is this AI platform would create more efficiency. The industry, in fact, spends billions a year, more than 160 billion on those processes. So this could help save a lot of money. The AI would help by automating tasks, for instance, like coding, claims handling, denials, etc., reducing mistakes. So in other words, so the hospitals and doctors can get paid faster, focus on actual health care, and
us as consumers actually receive the correct bills and appropriately receive credit for what we have and haven't paid. Yeah, thanks for taking one side of the argument there, lady. But I know for us, that right there would be massive as well, to be able to get everything right in the first place. Then we wouldn't have to deal with a lot of what we have to deal with in regards to the healthcare system.
Yeah, instead of chasing down payments. And as you know, this follows in the heels of those partnerships they announced, about a half dozen. You mentioned one of them. They're also partnering with Red Cat, Epirus, Saildrone, Saronic, just to name a few. These are a mix of defense and autonomous tech firms. So it shows that, and this is their Warp Speed platform, and that's to kind of create more efficiency within these spaces, optimize maintenance, improve fleet management, and they're doing this to beef up their commercial footprint. We know that Palantir had faced some pressure recently following those DOGE cuts. There was concern about Palantir as it relates to exposure to government contracts. We know that has been a big driver of growth for Palantir, but over the past year, we did see acceleration in commercial relationships. So we're seeing more of those talked about this week, them releasing new details on that. And we know that the CEO has talked about, kind of increasing our footprint and strengthening the U.S. footprint as it relates to AI advancements.
Yeah, so obviously we all know everything that they're just now figuring out, right? We knew that the government contracts were obviously massive and are going to be the drivers for a lot of growth in the future there. We talked about right here on this channel, I wasn't worried about the DOGE cuts at all or any of that other nonsense like that. Why in the world? One, it's government contracting is a whole different mess altogether. You could do a 5-hour YouTube video on that, still not scratch the surface on all that. But those weren't going away, A, and B, you're not going to cut the thing that's actually making you more efficient or is vital to the operation of, obviously certain operational tasks and a lot of other things of that nature. So that was never a concern for me. That was just a trading narrative based upon the fact that the valuation got so stretched. Traders were looking for a reason to trade, and that very much gave them a reason to trade. That's what traders do. They're not actually trading on anything that they actually believe or is actionable or that actually matters. They're just traders playing trading games. It's why I don't trade. It's why I stay away from all that noise. And I ignore it all completely. But we've been seeing the commercial growth now for over a year. It has been growing, expanding. We talked about it on prior videos that I love the fact that they're going after the U.S. market because the U.S. companies are the ones that have all the money to spend. We can debate whether that's fair, not fair, whatever the case is. I just have to deal with the reality and what earnings tell me. And for a variety of reasons that we can't really get into here, U.S. companies, that's who I would target too. They have the best tax advantages in terms of being able to use Palantir. They're going to spend money in a lot of cases to save their jobs to have Palantir come in and fix a lot of their business problems and a myriad of other things like that that don't necessarily exist overseas like they do here in the United States. So yeah, all those strategies make perfect sense if you want to grow. That's the market you want to go after first. And then of course you obviously are not going to turn down growth in other countries and such, but it's just a lot more difficult. The regulatory environment is different. Just business practices in general are very, very different overseas than they are here. So it's kind of a different setup all the way around. So that all makes perfect sense to me. But again, something Wall Street's late to the game on. We knew this all a long time ago.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in the story of Palantir. I think it's a company that's captured a lot of investors, traders, just everyday people's attentions. But you're paying up for the growth. The growth is impressive, but it's really, really expensive on kind of traditional valuation metrics, even with this pullback.
True.
Yep, can't argue there. It's expensive no matter how you want to slice it. Obviously, do I think in 10 years this will be an expensive price? No, of course not. But that's 10 years from now, and a lot can happen in 10 years, and they need to execute for the next 10 years. A lot of other things of that nature. You guys know I don't like to speculate out that far, but can't argue there. We'll speak more about valuation here at the end of the video. But yeah, definitely stretched for now, and stretched is kind of being kind.
I almost see this as this is just a high beta stock. On these snapback rally type days, I'd expect to see Palantir doing well. It just happens to coincide with some news. What are your kind of general thoughts on just kind of the landscape of where Palantir fits in this marketplace?
I think that you hit the nail on the head with, I mean, that's one of the concerns that's been around Palantir, the valuation, right? Is it justified, especially, compared to other players, right? They do have more.
Not sure you can justify the valuation compared to other players. However, I think they're a better company than the other players. And that right there is kind of the tricky part with Palantir in terms of getting your buys right. And that's why a lot of times we discuss, hey, just DCA. It's a heck of a lot easier, and it definitely takes a lot of the stress off of trying to figure this sort of stuff out.
A growth story compared to others in the space, and even in the most recent quarter, they had a big beat. Their guidance was better than what the street was. Their last quarter, I believe that was more than 30% growth, or around 30% growth. So it was better than what was expected, and their projections higher. It was 36% growth in their last quarter, and then their projection for this current quarter that we're in, they were projecting for 26% growth, which was more than what the street was looking for. But again, that question around Palantir has been, is the valuation justified? Does the growth story justify where it is? And so we've seen a reversion away from that, because there have been questions about that. And plus, with the Doge cuts, that has investors pulling back on it. Do we continue to see the kind of growth story that has been around Palantir? And I mean, the announcement of the new deals that it has and partnerships this week add some credence to that. But again, where it lives now compared to competitors still has questions around the valuation.
And I know that that's always been, I think, that the argument that's been made against it. But so many of these names, frankly, have traded with these high multiples for so long that I'm almost accustomed to. I'm like, does it even matter at this point? Because you could have made that same argument a year ago, and then you saw it have a banner here. So
yeah, that's simply not true. So that statement right there scares me as an investor. Oh, we've just gotten so used to stocks trading at a 600 PE that's just normal. That's going to be the new norm. I've heard that, gosh, probably at least 8 to 10 times over the past 25 years, where investor sentiment, quote unquote, especially on shows like CNBC or in the Wall Street Journal, or, all that sort of stuff like that. Those periods of times happen. And people go, oh, valuation doesn't matter anymore. Traditional ways are out the window, all the time. 2008 or 2006, 2007, obviously tech bubble. I was around for then and investing during that time, and I screwed it all up, guys. Don't get me wrong. I messed it all up. I didn't get it right. I believed that type narrative right there. 2015, heard the same exact thing again. Obviously, coming kind of out of the shutdown crash, heard it again, 2021. It comes up all the time, where all of a sudden, high beta names, just valuations don't matter anymore until they do. And that right there kind of scares me whenever I hear statements like that in regards to valuation, because it's just simply not true. And more importantly, go back last year. Last year, you could buy the stock in the 20s. Matter of fact, at the beginning of last year, you could buy it in the teens, if you could believe that. So it wasn't trading at a crazy multiple back then like it is right now. So this right here is kind of where Wall Street kind of convolutes things, kind of just throws a bunch of mess together. And it ends up us as retail investors who don't know any better think, well, they're experts. They're on TV. They're in the market day in and day out. They know what they're talking about. And this is why I tell you guys all the time, ignore the noise, because this right here is the kind of stuff that gets people FOMOing into Palantir instead of prudently buying Palantir, or, coming up with a great DCA plan and simply DCAing into the stock over time as it ebbs and flows. Obviously, we've had massive ebbs and flows, this past 6 months or so. But nonetheless, that's the appropriate way to handle it. Not this sort of nonsense like, oh, valuation doesn't matter anymore. Hey, 250 is reasonable. And some of the craziness that starts to come out around these times is definitely something that can get us all in a lot of trouble in regards to Palantir and any other stock for that nature.
Valuations, Samir, it's all relative, and I know that it's the excuse for now why we've seen some pressure, but yeah, a bit of a mixed feeling there. But we'll leave it there. I appreciate the insights today.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop the video right there, and let's talk about valuation with Palantir stock, because this is the key to it all. This is the key to investing. So I'll give you guys two things. So first thing in regards to valuation. If you don't understand valuation, you know, price targets and everything else, or you just feel like, hey, Luke, that's just too much for me. You know, there's so many different things going on. I can't decipher it all. Then just simply DCA. That is a viable, hard to beat strategy. As long as you're picking great companies, it's almost impossible to beat. The only way you can beat it is by doing a modified DCA, which is what we teach there in our group. Understand the group's not right for everyone, but you got to understand valuation. For me, yes, I love everything about Palantir, but a 30% growth rate, 35% growth rate, although incredible, don't get me wrong, I love it. I am very bullish on that. I can't stress it enough that I love Palantir enough, but it doesn't justify a 400 PE in a stock. It just doesn't. And any other thing like, well, it doesn't matter. Well, you know, eventually, yeah, those are all the same exact things people said about Tesla in 2021, and look at it now. Or any other stock that has ever risen to those levels. It doesn't stay artificially at those levels forever. It always has some sort of a massive correction down. We've already seen it. Now, I'm impressed with the strength that Palantir has shown after it kind of came back down off the moon per se, especially as it kind of continued to fall. It kind of has found itself a nice little floor there, which of course for us as shareholders is very nice to see. But nonetheless, that's why I have my price target. And I think it's for me personally, in my opinion, and more importantly, in my situation, so why my price target is below $50. Now remember, that's solely based on my plan. The fact that I already have not only a full position, but I have bonus shares on top of bonus shares on top of bonus shares, because Wall Street just got dumb again and again and again, not for a period of months, but for a period of years. They got dumb. So that's why my price target is where it's at. But honestly, if this was any other company, if I didn't believe in Palantir so much long-term, I probably would have it even lower, because even to me, that price target is a little bit rich for the stock. But I'm willing to pay what I feel is a little bit of a premium to continue to add to that stock. Now, I'm obviously not going to pay today's price for it. I'm not going to pay that much of a premium because I don't need any more. I don't want any more. But I do think Wall Street is going to give us an opportunity again to give us fair value or undervalued shares, because that's what Wall Street does. There's never been a stock in the history of the stock market that just went up and never had that happen to them ever again. Never existed, guys. I'm sorry. If you can find the stock, please comment down below, but never existed in the history of the stock market as far back as I can find. So that means I will get opportunities at some point in time. I just have to be patient. But boy, it sure does scare me whenever folks start saying, oh yeah, that's valuations don't matter anymore. Stay artificially high, and that's just normal. No, it's not. That's definitely when you kind of need to throw up a little bit of caution there and really consider what they're saying. And more importantly, really get into those numbers again and make sure. Again, the easiest way to beat that is with a DCA. But if you want to get that extra little bit of alpha and you're ready to take your investing serious, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there. Take advantage of the March Madness sale, where we do all that through 5 free courses, through your free coaching, through direct access to me, live Q&As, everything else. Be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there of investors, all helping you as well become a better investor. Make sure you check it out. It's the pinned comment down there. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.